and keep things pretty casual today. One, we don't have a whole lot of news to talk about. Two, it's Veterans Day. It's a day off. Three, I just kind of wanted to just sit around and do some Feywild stuff today. So I'm kicking off all the shows here. I'm making sure I'm live. I do see myself now on Twitch. Hi, me. 1,000. Oh, that. Okay. 2-second delay. Oh. There we go on YouTube. And I am back to streaming on just the regular YouTube channel. So let me continue with that weird saga, if I may. Also, it is weird, though. It looks like YouTube is, for some reason, cutting off like a bottom half-inch of my screen. That's weird. Okay, well, that's why my head is so in focus. But I don't really want to raise it for everyone else. So, I guess, hi, Johnny. Hi, everyone over in YouTube. Guess I'm just going to have to deal with it. But normally there's like about this much more screen that shows up, but it's just not showing up on YouTube. Either way, I didn't actually do anything, and it suddenly started working. So I'm going to assume that it was actually an issue with YouTube this whole time. AKA, not my fault. AKA, I did my best. But being unable to stream for a couple months there on YouTube, or at least not reliably, I guess ended up just being a YouTube thing. Because it's all working now. I'm trying to, AKA, oops. Not my fault. AKA. The parts that always come back to me are always the best. Alright. Hey, I'm live on everything. When you saw the chessboard in Feywild, you were looking for a white rabbit saying, I'm late, I'm late. I thought that too. I thought there would be some pretty good stuff with that. So, alright, well, I think I'm basically live on everything, and I think we're good to go. So, let me do one last check of XSplit here, making sure that the title... So, I deliberately didn't put the title on today. Because this is only a sort of a weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream. This is a WWLL. I should have the day off instead edition. Welcome everybody to the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. I am DDS Community Manager Cordovan, and I'm going to be with you here for the next hour, just running some stuff in Feywild and hanging out with you on this Veterans Day. We do have the day off work as SSG, and I know a lot of people in the United States and France and elsewhere do have the day off work as well. So if that's one of you, hope you're having a good one. I'm just going to be kind of taking it easy today. We don't have a lot of news. There's a little bit of news I could talk about, but we don't have a lot of news. And I just kind of wanted to relax a little bit and have a real casual stream for the next hour. So here's why I wanted to do that. And so I didn't technically have... I could have just sort of said, you know what, let's not do a live stream this week, but I want to be here. And the reason I want to be here is because I would like to thank each and every one of you for a couple of different things. Let me get to the first one first, and that is last Saturday, we did our Extra Life Game Day Marathon, and it went exceptionally well, and everyone had a good time, I think. Let me put myself a little more in the camera so I can speak to you. We had a good day on our Extra Life Game Day Marathon and raised a lot of money for charity. We're currently sitting at a little above 32,000, which is amazing. The drive runs through this Friday. Now, you can donate afterwards, that's fine. And in terms of like the individual incentives, that's fine. I don't care. I'm not that picky in terms of making sure that if you donate to a good cause like this, that you get a few goodies from the community loot list. But I did need to set a cutoff point because I'm doing all the public drawings. And that is going to take place, I believe, on Saturday. I don't know that I'm going to announce it on Saturday. Because I got, like, between the two games, something in the range of 80 things to give away. Yeah, I do that. Okay. Anyway, it's going to be sweet, though. And there's also a possibility I might just say, you know what? Everyone gets a thing. But we'll kind of see where we end up this weekend. Anyway, there's still time to donate. Last couple of days here. If you want to get in on those group incentive drawings, you can find out what those are over on ddo.com and then go to extra-life.org/team/SSG to donate. If you donate at least $10, you get in on those drawings. If you do one other thing. So all I get, the only visibility I have to your donation, and that includes technical support if you run into an issue, is basically whatever name you gave during checkout donated X amount. So in order to get you the DDO specific things like the codes and whatnot, I need like a forum name. So I can just quick private message you the codes, or in some cases get a character name and server, and then I have to manually create it and mail it to you. Depends what it is. Either way it's fine, but either way I have to be able to connect it to a DDOU, whether that be, you know, a character and server, or ideally a forum name. Forum is best. Not only does it keep the public information pretty limited in scope in terms of what is accessible or visible through the process, because we keep careful tabs on the forums for things like that. And but it also makes it just easier to funnel as much of it as possible into one place, so that I can create those lists and things and be able to easily get you all the codes that are coming to you, which I will be doing this Saturday. So that's point one. That's point one as to why I wanted to stream today. Point two is that on a personal note, yesterday happened to be my 10th anniversary working for then WB Games / Turbine. So 10 years ago yesterday was my first day of work at the studio, and I had been doing broadcast news, and radio in general. Did a little DJing and co-hosting and things like that for quite a few years prior, and had kind of, I don't want to say like wrapped up my career in radio news or broadcast news, but I was ready to. And there came a time when I had to do a move not long before I got hired at WB Games, where I made the decision to not bring my current employment forward into a new location. And I know I'm being a little vague, but either way, I said thanks for the opportunity, but no thanks, on a radio news gig that had been offered me, because honestly, I was a little bit done with that industry. And this is not a place for a soapbox. I would just say in general, to help explain a little bit, that industry has been going through a lot of difficulties, as one might imagine. In the years since, let's say, the iPod came out. Things like that. And so by 2010, the industry had been going through a lot of struggles for a lot of years. A lot of friends lost their jobs. A lot of people lost their jobs. And a lot of money that was actually used to fuel that section of the radio industry, to some extent, started drying up. I don't know what the current state is. It's been 10 years. But at least 10 years ago, you saw things go from, you had 4 people in a newsroom to 2, then from 2 to 1, then from 1 to 1 part-time, and things like that. And in some cases, radio news disappeared altogether from a lot of radio stations. So I happened to be doing that during a time of great transition in the industry, and had been really ready to move on. So the weird thing about being established in a job like that is that you end up not really knowing what to do sometimes when you're done. I knew I wanted to work in video games. I had long wanted to do that, but I didn't know that an opportunity was ever going to actually be presented to me. It's not always easy to get into the games industry, as many people are well aware. And thankfully it's easier, I think, today than it ever has been. But it still isn't always the easiest thing to do. And so I found myself in a place where I didn't really have much of a job, to be honest. I didn't know exactly what I was going to be doing short term. I was just looking for a little bit of money, picking up some kind of side gigs here and there and stuff, right? When this opportunity came to me to not just find a new place to apply my skills in a new industry, but also an opportunity to join the video game industry, at least get my shot, right? And not only that, but it was for a game, Dungeons & Dragons Online, that I deeply love. Deeply loved at the time, deeply loved today. And under the IP, Dungeons & Dragons in general. Because remember, I came to this position being a lifelong D&D nerd. All in capital letters. Lifelong D&D nerd. This guy. So, going from a position where I was maybe at the end, sort of at the end of my rope. I mean, you know, if a really good opportunity had been presented to me after 3 months of not really finding something to land, a place to land, right? Maybe I would have taken another opportunity, but it would not have been for where I was working, and it would not have been doing what I was doing, because I was done with that. And again, this is not a place for a soapbox. And I assume that in 2020 things are a lot better. But in places like 2010, let me just say for the record that you would see things like commonly working 60 to 80 hours a week and getting paid for 40. And that 40 an hour work week, the general salary being low enough that even with living in the Midwest, it could be a struggle to pay things like a mortgage or rent. So, and that was after almost 15 years of experience in that industry. So, I'm going to leave it there. But I just wanted to kind of give you a sense of just how significant this opportunity was for me to be able to join Turbine WB Games. And so the opportunity came to me in 2010 to move from where I was living to Massachusetts. I had actually grown up somewhat in Rhode Island, not too far away, really, about an hour or so from here. But my family moved to Minnesota when I was 9 years old, and then I spent the rest of my life to that point elsewhere, throughout the Midwest and stuff. And so getting this opportunity to move here 10 years ago, and that was exciting, and it was challenging. There was a lot. It was a whirlwind of crazy, as you can imagine. And I remember, you know, walking into the studio for the first time as an employee, you know, a little more than 10 years ago yesterday. And some of the emotions that I was feeling at that time, and you know, hoping this wasn't going to be a 3-week gig, you know, something like that, right? Making sure that I felt like I could succeed and make sure I kept my head on straight and all that sort of thing too, right? So I just wanted to reflect a little bit on that as we just crossed yesterday, my 10th anniversary of employment with then WB Games Turbine. So the thing is, you know, in 2017, right, we became Standing Stone Games. So we're no longer WB Games Turbine. But the reality is, you know, most of you know, I think, right, that a lot of us, Standing Stone Games is a transition of the teams that were basically either already in place or whatever was in place that carried through, in addition to a whole bunch of longtime veteran developers, artists, studio people from both games. So for many of us, the actual impact of the creation of Standing Stone Games was a physical lateral move in that we, in actuality, would clear our desks from the old offices and then move into the new offices and then largely just keep doing what we were doing prior to that, because we had games to put out, right? We had things to do. So in terms, I bring that up because even though it is not 10 years, obviously, of my tenure here with Standing Stone Games, for a lot of us in the studio, we still are marking our time with the product rather than the time with the development studio. And so for me, it has been 10 years with Dungeons & Dragons Online. Largely, also, honestly, technically, 10 years with the Lord of the Rings Online as well, because when I got hired back in 2010, let us be completely real, it was for a lowest on the totem pole position in the community team that was then being managed by a really fantastic community manager by the name of Patience. And she was managing a team of, was it 6 to 8 of us? Pretty big, all said and done. Certainly by 2020 standards, huh? You look back on those days where you had that many people and you're just like, we actually had that many people? Oh my god, think of all the work we could get done, right? But still, that's the position I found myself in 10 years ago. And so for a lot of us, we tend to mark those as our anniversaries, including mine here today. So, yeah. All right, now, for the first time since I hit record here, I'm going to look at chat. When open server transfer from hardcore? We do not have an ETA to announce. We also have no deadline in place. We aren't going to be immediately opening Season 4 of Hardcore. That probably won't happen until... well, we don't have an ETA to announce, but it's certainly not going to happen through the holidays here. We have a lot that we're going to be doing in the next, say, 6 to 8 weeks, right? So I think the reality is that any Hardcore Season 4 would most likely be early 2021-ish, something like that. So we have plenty of time to get this addressed. We know what we need to do. It's just a matter of getting it done through all the other work that has to be done at this time, up to and including, say, releasing Fables of the Feywild. So now that is starting to get behind us, we have a patch incoming that I can talk about in a little bit. We're going to be working on that hardcore thing, since it really wasn't... When you have to juggle a certain number of priorities, right? Things that, while certainly of community interest, can be slightly pushed down the road so that you can do things like release Fables of the Feywild, will take place. So that will be done, I expect, in the relatively near future, but we also, in the immediate future, I already know that we're booked in terms of kind of what our priorities are and what we need to do. So it's still going to be a little bit yet, but that's the latest on transfers from hardcore. It will be reopened in the near future. You'll have plenty of time to get your characters off it before Season 4 opens, and we would start fresh. Yes, Loaf Beef. Thank you for bringing this up. I mentioned earlier that it was Veterans Day in the United States, also Armistice Day, and a bunch of other things. Thank you for the current and former service members in the United States and any country that they represent. The people doing that work are absolutely worthy of taking a moment to appreciate, regardless of where you are, what you are, and who you are. So, there we go. A moment of silence, if possible. And let me actually briefly turn off the game audio as well to make sure that is included. Let's have a quick moment of silence, if we would, for our service members around the world. All right, thanks. Okay. Quick question. In the monster manual, blink dogs are lawful good 3E, so doesn't that make us evil for killing them? I would want to check on that, Craig. RPH. I believe they are... So these would be based on the 5th edition blink dogs. And let me do a quick Google search, and if I... Now this is just from a non-official compendium kind of thing. What does it say its alignment is? It does say lawful good there as well. So... Clearly we've always been a little open on alignment. I think in general... you have the option not to kill things that are attacking you, and things that are lawful good, that believe that they are operating on their lawful good alignment, would, you know, fit those goals. So if you're being attacked, you can choose to attack back, things like that. Don't forget to turn music back on. Thank you. Good point. All right. Any info as to when the bug that was introduced with the 8-hour login will be fixed? I still have to adjust your settings every time you log in. Yes, that should be fixed in the near future. I do not believe we have it fixed in place for this next patch, but let me call something up real quick that I've been intending to do. This is the one bit of news I've got, really, for the show here today, which is that we have a patch incoming. There was a time this week that it was hopeful this patch would be released this week, but the reality of having Wednesday off of work, along with some last-second things that we wanted to make sure got into that patch, pushed it into, a time yet to be determined that could be next week. Let's put it that way. And do the math. But let me call up, see what we actually have in it here. If I can remember where I put it. Where are you? Oh, come on. It's alright. I'm going to have to look something up here. Let me find my own email so that I can follow the link to my own email. I don't know, for some reason this is not showing up where I want it to. Now I can't find my patch notes. I didn't make this up. I just have to find them. Here we are. What in the world did I do wrong? Okay. Here we are. The most important piece of information in our Update 48, Patch 1, otherwise known as Update 48.1, release notes, is that we are working to make, fingers crossed, the saga available. So we will have the saga added in our next patch. We're also doing a bunch of text and kind of minor polish work now that we've had an opportunity to pick up a few things. We're fixing an issue with favored enemy, lawful, and chaotic outsider. We're going to be... well... I'm going to hold back that release note until I actually see our final build, just in case it's not in there. So let me sorry about that. We are going to be fixing an issue with spell power and turn undead properties. So randomly generated armor, robes, breaches, docents, and shields will have a lower chance to appear with spell power and turn undead, and a higher chance to appear with defensive effects. What? Defensive effects on a shield give me spell power instead? Nope. So that's going to be... you know, there's still going to be some people who don't know how to make magic items very well throughout the game worlds, but with the random loot system. Whatever, sell it for plat. Anyway, it's going to have a higher chance for defensive effects now. We're doing a bunch of kind of quest fixes, quest polish for Feywild. We're going to be fixing an issue with resistance augments. A little bit of VO timing issues. A couple of optional order of operation issues. Some issues with Joy the Almost Dragon and Needle in the Face Stack. We've been seeing some pretty significant bug reports in Needle in the Face Stack. That'll be fixed here in the near future as well. We're going to be fixing a couple of animation issues with shifters, specifically dual wielding. Is going to have a couple of things there. So that's the kind of stuff that'll be in the patch. We'll have the formal release notes when we get closer to it, probably early next week, assuming that everything goes well here in the coming days. And yes, I believe the fix for the new tower shield is in too. Also, hello Voodoo Spice rating, thank you. Your game is still saying you haven't logged in. It's up to 8 months now. Is that something that is happening with other people? It is not. A person in Twitch chat. So if you are saying it is not... Oh, it's just for the timing thing. That is weird. I would, as long as it's a trivial issue for you, maybe just do a quick reinstall. But if that isn't trivial for you, then I guess it's just a display issue. Alright, let's see what else I got in the chats. Let me check out Facebook here. Am I going to be... Are we going to be making a raid with a Tarrasque? Or Tarrasque, however you say it. When I was 8 years old looking at it, it was called a Tarrasque. So it's always going to be called a Tarrasque in my mind. Alright. No. I don't think that'll be happening. I'd never say never on a particular monster, but I'd say the odds are not real high that that's what it's going to be. We do have a raid incoming, but no ETA to announce on that, and it will not be including a Tarrasque. Alright. Is the team aware the Paladin Knight of the Chalice Tree is not working with ranged combat? The animation for Smite and Exalted Smite shows, but damage bonus does not apply. Yes, I don't think it's quite as broad as that in terms of the issue. But I would need to double check to read up on the issue before I said further. I think it's more specific ranged weapon types, right? Specifically thrown weapons, is that correct? Or am I incorrect about that? Either way, yes, I do know that we are aware of that one. Any chance one day we could give us a virtual tour of the SSG studios? Yeah, we could probably do that someday. We'd have to be a little careful, what was on whiteboards and stuff, but I would imagine we could do something like that in the future. In terms of the current studio of one Cordovan, that would be my living room. And yes, after I vacuumed, I would be happy to give you a tour of my living room. Alright. Cat hair for days, yes. Fate Arc Illusionist Distraction breaks stealth and invisibility. I believe that may be working as intended. Shield is not giving its extra PRR. Correct. Yeah, it sounds like a bad installation to me too, following Neshoba, regarding Starchild, your question. That's what has me, because I have not been seeing that. I haven't really been looking. After a while, that stuff kind of just gets buried in the background unless you're specifically looking for it. But I certainly haven't seen that happen with my game client that I'm aware of. Can we fix a Disintegrate Augment, which does nothing? Yes, probably. Endress. I am not personally aware of that one, though. So make sure we've got a bug report in on it through help.standingstonegames.com, please. If you would. If that's okay. Alright, and I am not seeing, unfortunately, I'm not seeing my YouTube chat. What happened to my YouTube chat? Either I'm not live, and I only think I'm live, or people are chatting and I'm not seeing it. Yes, that is correct. Now I see it. It looks like for some reason it didn't update with me. Any chance we can get a spear fighting tree like a knife fighting tree? That'd be sweet. No real plans to do spears at this point. That would be cool. Where can the new augments be found in-game? All over the place. I read the release notes. The Update 48 release notes explains more about augments. Someone saying in YouTube chat, as a former radio journalist, I feel you. Radio was a lot of fun and a great place to starve. It was. Yes. That is absolutely true. My God, your DJ that you love that works in the afternoons or something is probably getting paid peanuts. Peanuts! I remember one of my first jobs in radio, just to again give you perspective, that the pay was so low that the radio station's own sales manager had to offer me a super duper deal on rent from one of the guy's own properties, because the guy had a side gig doing rental properties, and the guy had to cut his rent in about half in order to make it so that I could live in the place where I was working based on the amount that they knew they were paying me. So there was a nice little eye-opener as to what to expect in the wonderful world of radio salary. So I don't have a list of the new augments. There's many, many of them. I would say hopefully the DDO Wiki can take care of that for you. Will the producer's letter be out before March 2021? The Magic 8 Ball says, God, I hope so. Listen chart. Okay, thank you. Okay, I once again am not aware. This one comes from Facebook. Obviously, you once again are not aware that the servers did not restart, or you forgot to update your post on the forum. The answer is I am not aware that the servers did not restart today. So, also remember this is my day off, other than this noon live stream. Hence, why I was not aware that we did not actually do a restart. I did, however, receive an email on Tuesday afternoon saying we were going to do a restart. So, hence the downtime notice. Sorry about that, Keith, over on Facebook. If I'll have to look into that. The reason we're going to do a restart is simply to promote the health of the game environment. Normally, we would not have done a restart this week because we were hoping to get the aforementioned update 48 patch 1 out. But now that that is early next week, the intention was to do that weekly restart this morning. If that didn't happen, I apologize, and I will have to see what that means, whether or not we're, say, doing it tomorrow instead. Oh, really? I am spelling saying Tarask correctly? From the WotC pronunciation guide, it is Tarask. 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 Well, I've been right this whole time. Moonlighting at another radio station to make ends meet. Yep, that happens. That happens a lot. Nowadays, those jobs just don't exist, unfortunately. It happened a lot, yeah. Is the Slayer max for level 30 Feywild correct at 1500? That remains an unanswered question, but one we are both aware of and we have been discussing. The Feywild cap for the Slayers is certainly not high. It's capped at 1500, so we'll see. You change a new chair and wonder it looks like. So this, yes, but this short-term chair here, actually. I got this, let me see if I can just kind of... I got that for Extra Life this year. Because everyone was super generous right off the bat in terms of making donations to Team Standing Stone Games. So I brought it because I frankly needed a chair. The chair I was using was falling apart, and because I spend a lot of time on the computer for my own kind of ergonomic health and what have you, I was like, oh god, I'm just gonna I'm gonna have them send me this chair, and then I could use it as a background prop for this past Saturday's Extra Life game day. But long term, you know, maybe now I'm gonna have to wait a little longer because of the COVID. Because of the COVID, I have to maybe wait a little bit longer, but otherwise I'm going to be donating this thing, and I'm going to donate it somewhere local, because it's big and heavy. But I'm going to find someplace local to donate it to, and make sure that this very nice chair, DX Racer chair from Extra Life, gets a home that is more public in nature, or something like that. Or at least potentially public in nature, than sitting in my house. It just feels right to do that instead. So that's what's going to be happening. So at some point here in the near future, I'm going to be back to either my old busted chair, or perhaps a new chair that I pay for out of my own pocket. There we go. But it probably won't be a DX Razor chair because they're too expensive, and I don't want to pay for it. Okay. And I don't have the money. In part because I'm just getting a PlayStation 5, yeah! Since it is part of pop culture now because of Stranger Things, what about adding Demogorgons? That has come up in conversation over the years. I know that we've had conversations about it. We haven't moved forward with it. I don't know whether that's something we'd want to do, whether we could do, whether we would do, whether we will do. I don't know any of those things. But I know that we've certainly talked about, you know, maybe if the content was right or if whatever, that might be something we could pursue. But then I'm also not sure specifically how the licensing for that monster works in terms of being able to use it in, your IP-based game. So there's a whole lot of questions that I just don't know related to whether that would ever be a possibility. Bonus days. Yeah, I can look up bonus days. Will there be new things added in Wynwood Hall, where we are currently located in game, such as what we did with the Sharn docks? The answer to that is, I believe, and I recall us saying so in a most recent interview that took place, that being with DDOcast, and you can find that interview over on DDOcast.com, that yes, we would be doing a future adventure pack that will utilize this Fables of the Feywild stuff in a somewhat similar manner to what we did for Masterminds of Sharn. Any plans for Modrons? No. I haven't really heard of any real interest in our part of doing Modrons. Will we ever have negative healing for a Dark Path Cleric? I have not really heard of any intention or plan to do that either. So, a Baronet rank and maybe a higher level favor will be earnable? Yeah, if our content needs push us beyond a threshold under our kind of new favor tier system, well, it's not that new, it's a couple years old now, right? But whatever that is, as long as it pushes us over the threshold, then I would assume that we would probably make some kind of new tier reward for that threshold. And it would fall along the lines of the favor kind of reward system that we've been using for a couple of years now. I bet some of the actors, someone says in chat, from Stranger Things would love to narrate a dungeon or two. Maybe. Last I heard, they were all pretty much massively huge international successes and actors with hugely busy schedules, up to and including like what that the lady. I'm sorry that I can't think of your name right now. You're a fantastically talented person. Along with the rest of the cast, I bet they don't even have time to consider something like that. But if they want to do it for free, and you happen to hear this, and you're listening and saying, why yes, Cordovan, I might be an international megastar, but I would like to narrate your dungeon for free, then please get in touch with me, and I would be happy to make that happen. Are we going to add the ability to use daggers and open locks to the Ninja Spy tree? No. I have not heard of any plans to do anything like that. Sorry. Can we have the House P-Buffs pause in public areas? Probably not. That old House P-Buff system with the NPCs that was largely irrelevant while we had resistance shrines in the cargo hold has now become once again of interest to people. And please remember that it's based on like 2004, 2005 technology. So I think the likelihood of us wanting to touch the system, much less updated, is probably pretty minimal. So I'm going to say you're stuck with what we got there for the foreseeable future. Yeah. Will there be more rebalancing of some of the older trees, Harper or Swashbuckler? I have not heard of plans to rebalance either of those things, those two trees. I would expect that our system's attention would be focused elsewhere other than the heroic enhancement trees. Probably through much of 2021. However, that would not preclude the ability to get some work done on enhancement trees should a need arise or work be done. But I think the idea of, say, choosing to do a fairly large round of heroic enhancement tweaks and systems work is probably not on the schedule at this point. Craig, I do not. It's like I said. I think if I haven't made it clear, today is a pretty casual stream. Although I ended up just standing here doing a Q&A instead of questing, like I thought maybe I would. And I'm enjoying myself, so it's fine. We'll just make it a fireside chat today. I don't want to start talking about what we are working on in 2021 yet. It's too early. And the venue to provide that kind of big news, I think, is best done elsewhere than 48 minutes into a casual live stream by the games community manager. I will say, because you should know this already, that we do have active development work underway on the raid that will be coming out in the future. And then, as you've seen, we've done, what, 2 patches now since... Or, no, 1 patch. 1 hotfix, 1 patch? Whatever. We've been busy since the release of Fables of the Feywild. So, but with, let's say, next week's patch, fingers crossed we'll have hit the majority of the big issues that we want to hit. And then we'll probably do another little follow-up patch. So it's not like we don't have things to currently work on. Plus, we do have some things that we are working on that we have not yet really been able to talk about. And then we also have things short-term like Festival to take a look at as well. That happens in December. Typically with the Jester of the Festival arriving, cookies, or coins rather, are dropping throughout the game world and then turning them in for cookies. So that's something that all real short term here. You know, this is November 11th. What are you guys doing the next couple of weeks? That's probably going to be a lot of that sort of thing. And then we're turning our attention, you know, to other things. So I wouldn't expect to hear a lot about the big news of our 2021 plans for a little bit yet. A face side chat. I like it. I think I may steal that for the title. Ernie on YouTube. That's really good. Yeah, I would imagine Festival's going to be the same kind of minor updating we usually do. And that is, we'll swap out a few of the cookies for something different this year. Alright. New augments are not going into the augment bags. Is this a known issue? I have not seen a lot of wide reporting of that. So I need to make sure, I will follow up on that and see where we are. Obviously at this moment, I am not personally aware of that. I've been keeping an eye on the forums, and I haven't seen a lot of posts that, like, blanket all new augments are not going into, quote, like, all augment bags. But perhaps it's one of those things that was so obvious in terms of a bug and got fixed so quickly that it just hasn't made its way up to me yet. So, I don't know. Anyone else having this problem? You guys all having this problem? Is everybody having this problem? Am I the only one? No, okay, yeah, so. Oh, they don't go into the bag if they're locked down. That is, I believe, working as intended. Will Otto's boxes be available again before hardcore starts up again? I am going to say the odds of that. The magic 8 ball on that one says probably, almost certainly. Now, you know, the Otto's box is something that we often bring out during significant sales periods, like, say, Black Friday and the holiday time period and all that sort of thing. So, while I have nothing to announce today regarding our holiday sales, I think one can generally expect to see the Otto's boxes not every time, but in many, if not most of the times that we do those significant sales. And I've also stated that Hardcore Season 4 will most likely not be until 2021. So I guess given that set of evidence, I will allow you to draw your own conclusion. Alright, you know, honestly, we got about 5 minutes left, but I think the questions have kind of petered out. I was going to quick get you the bonus for this weekend, so let me see if I can do that real quick while I'm thanking everyone for watching this most casual show here today. I guess I ended up doing a lot of talking, did I not? A lot of personal talking as well. So if you were a part of the Extra Life Game Day this past weekend, I did once again want to thank you. And I wanted to let everyone know that now is a great time to get me your information on the forums if you have not. And that this weekend I'll be doing work to begin the process of getting everyone their stuff. It's going to start with the group incentive distribution, then it'll go to the individual incentive distribution. Depending how it goes, I don't know which game's I'm gonna get to first. But at last count, I have something like 600 or so of you to get back to. So the likelihood that I will have all the winners picked and everybody messaged by the end of the day on Saturday is highly unlikely. And however, I will be doing some real work on that all day on Saturday, with the help of probably some Netflix on the side monitor and that sort of thing. So hopefully I'll get back to you here in the near future. But I would to thank you for your donation and make sure that you understood that you should be hearing from me hopefully within the next couple of weeks. Okay. And then thank you again for the opportunity to serve you as the community manager for Dungeons & Dragons Online. Alright, now I have got the thing what up that I need done look at. And the answer to what is this week's bonus is pretty good, actually. I've got Reaper Boost 10%. Yep, that's 2020. Okay. Reaper Boost 10%, so that would be plus 10% Reaper XP. But wait, that's not all. We also have an extra VIP XP weekend of an additional 10% on top of the 10% you already get, for a total extra VIP XP 20% along with 10% Reaper XP. What? So that's happening this weekend, and that should be kicking off late tomorrow morning Eastern Time and going through Sunday. Sunday, November 15th. Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you again next week. If you have the day off, be well. If you don't have the day off, be well. Hope the midweek finds you in a great place. Keep an eye out on DDO.com because we've got a patch coming up and more. So thanks very much for being here and hope you have a great one. Bye-bye.